What's up?
Hey,
Welcome back to Chats with A&A. All the things you wish you could
say.
say. Had to bring her in on that one.
I was like, my volume is down again.
What is up with that? Why is your volume always down so you can never hear what I'm saying?
Well, it's like after the meeting, I turn it down and then I forget to turn it back.
Fine.
It is what it is. But I did make sure the clock went at 4 o'clock.
Well,
So
bonus.
I was like, oh shoot, it's already 4. Okay, guys, just cuckoo already.
Just cuckoo it. It's
Just
fine.
cuckoo it.
All right. Well, it's the new year.
It is the new year. Oh, thank you.
Survive. We have survived 2024 barely, but we made it.
We made it. Made it. And now it's New Year,
Mhm.
and we are in for a better and improved us.
Hydrate. Don't hydrate.
There we go.
So, a little bit of an update. I still have the boyfriend.
Ooh.
Labs still weren't awesome. So, still on some fluids. We'll see how things go. But I'm not freaking out yet. So, uh, doing what the doctor said, following the orders of the doctor. So, that should work out. I drop things off of my table endlessly. First, it was a brush.
Now what is it?
The box of tissues.
The box of tissues.
Just be glad it wasn't my iPad or something. I've dropped the scissors. I've dropped the brush. Now the tissues. Can't tell you how many times I've dropped my pen off the table. It's a little ridiculous, just a little bit.
So, what are we discussing today?
Today we are discussing anger.
Anger. I think that's a great idea.
Yes,
Let's get it
because
out of our systems today.
right, get it out all on the first day
And then we're good.
till the next bout of anger. Okay, I'm sorry about my squeaky chair. That's new. Okay, apologize in advance for all the squeaks. But if I don't move, then it becomes stiff and hurting. So we move. Um, anger,
Anger.
something that everybody feels, no matter even if they tell you they don't. Everybody feels anger, but we don't all feel it in the same place in our bodies, and we also don't express it in the same way.
True.
So, as for me, if you ask my students, there's a different kind of anger for Miss Rangel than there is for Alyssa. What? That is who I am. Okay. Anyway, I'm okay with it. Me being out there. Um, so with my students, I tend to be a little bit like, just be quiet. Because more than anything, the things that drives me crazy is when they talk while I'm talking. And I'm like, I do not want to have to explain this 37 times because, sometimes that's how many kids you have in a class. Um, so it's a little frustrating. But as for myself, it's like when I get mad at other people, like when it's a personal thing, I tend to shut down and I just get quiet and I just kind of hold it all in because I know now. as an adult that if I was to let it out at that particular moment, I'm going to say something I will regret. Because when I get mad, I lack a filter and I just say whatever's on my mind. And that does not go over well with people who are a little bit more sensitive than me. And I'm very sensitive. So, um, but that's something that I've had to learn over years that sometimes it doesn't have to be said right at that moment. And you need to be a little bit more in control of your anger if you want to express that frustration to that person. And sometimes that takes a day, a couple of days, a week. Like it just depends on how quickly you can move through your anger to be able to express it in a non-destructive way. What do you think, Andrea?
True. But I feel like there's times where you don't need to express it. Like, for example, when you're driving, do you really have to go into road rage? No, you don't. I don't care if it's fun. You don't need to do it.
I just like to yell at them. It's not like they can hear me.
All right, you can yell in your car. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like stopping traffic, trying to beat the shit out of people, that's not
No, no,
trying to cause accidents is not okay. Trying to
no.
like hunt people down just to beat up their cars, not okay. There are not okay lines when it comes to anger.
Right. There's very much not okay lines. When it starts to go from expressing your anger to physical violence, you've gone too far.
Yeah, and I do know that some people will take out physical violence on people who have hurt somebody they love.
Yes.
And I recognize that and I acknowledge that. And I even validate that anger. Because if somebody were to attack one of my children, it takes a lot to hold me back. It is a real because it's that intense. But that just also shows how much you care about that person. There's a reflection of your anger when it comes to people you love. When something happens to somebody you love, that anger is so much more intense than when it's not somebody you love.
Well, it's because it's fueled by love.
Right,
Right. And like love always burns hotter than anger.
right.
And so if you add that together and you have such what I would consider like a righteous rage because you are angry that someone hurt someone you care about. Does that mean that that righteous rage allows you to go and beat crap out of people? No,
There's
but
laws.
there's laws
There's laws,
that we have all promised to keep.
supposedly.
Well, I mean, like, there's only one law I break every once in a while, and it's the speed law.
Once in a while.
I may or may not go the speed limit frequently. But you know what? I haven't broken the speed law in like at least
A month.
almost.
You've almost been in the
I'm a
hospital.
month sober from road rage.
I do. I have dealt with one of my children with the mood disorder. Yeah, they were diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder when they were in elementary school. And when the moods flared, it was like violent rage outbursts. Like I had to physically contain this child so they didn't hurt any other children in the house. But they broke furniture. They tore up stuffed animals. They tore apart books. They put holes in the wall. It was uncontrollable rage. Like, but it was also, I am not going to cry or show other emotions because rage is easier to deal with than sadness and hurt and pain.
It's a
So
lot, it's a lot easier to express.
It is a lot to express, but it also doesn't hurt as much as that pain.
Yeah.
So trying to handle that as an elementary student into like junior high and high school, that was a whole nother ball game.
So we are not in Kansas anymore.
No. So have to find different outlets. Like I know working out is a great outlet. Dude, you have no idea how many times I pictured somebody's face when I was lifting weights. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so he's like having me punch something or like jerk something really hard, I'm like, oh yeah, swinging it right towards their face because that's what you can do. You can totally visualize when you work out, beat the crap out of that boxing bag or whatever. It doesn't even matter. It's like it's a boxing bag. But
Yeah.
in your brain, you're like getting all that energy because anger is an energy.
Right.
You get it out with movement. And then it's okay. I feel so much better. Because it's gone. It's out of your body and you will feel better once it's gone.
Right. And if you hold on to it, then it just becomes more intense. And so when you finally do let it out, then it can be really damaging, not only to physical structures, but also people, their emotions, yourself and your emotions. Um, so it's one of those things it's like you have to be really careful with. Um, Especially if you do have something like a mood disorder, like that's something that you have to learn about yourself. And I mean, if you do, there's nothing wrong with
No,
having a mood disorder. There's nothing wrong with being different and, you know, allowing yourself to accept that you process things differently than others
right.
and just learning how to process that in your own way and in your own time and in your own style. But that is a safe processing for you and other people. And
Right.
that's not always really easy, especially if you find out at a young age, like especially between the ages of like 11 and 18, when life is just so
So,
intense and everything is like right now and it's like right here and it's huge and you know you don't think long term because you like live in the moment when you're that age.
well, and I feel like we are recognizing that the feelings you feel are valid. We recognize this.
Yep.
Feeling angry is a valid emotion and it's a valid response to some things. And like Alyssa, when I get mad, I get quiet. I get really quiet.
Yeah, you can tell. I can tell when she's mad.
I get really, really quiet. I
She
don't
just stops
necessarily
talking.
shut down, but seriously, there is plotting going on in the head. And it is like, ooh, it can be bad.
It's like this shirt I have. I think it's like a sleep shirt. It says, I may seem calm, but in my head, I've slapped you 3 times.
It really is like that. And I'm just like, okay. But I also know how important and powerful words are. I know this, and dude, I have destroyed people with my words before I recognized it. I have torn them to shreds. And so I know my words have intense amounts of power. And I'm like, ooh, okay, quiet. You're angry. You're pissed. You're going to kill them. And you don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is talk to them. But
Right.
it's so toxic and so malice that I'm like, "Ooh, don't talk."
Right. And you think about like yourself and I think about you and like you're telling us like you become like this toxic individual when you become really really angry and words just flow out like lava or something. um and so that's like a really important thing to recognize about yourself, like be like, okay, Andrea needs to
Yep. I would much rather go to
um,
the gym and like just take it out.
yeah. And so like for me, I like the same with you, like I get really quiet, although I'm not plotting your death or anything. It's me, I'm like, really pissed off. I'm really pissed off. Why don't they want to do that? Why did they do this? I don't understand. Like it's mine is like an internal monologue with myself that's like, I don't understand. Why did they do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, depending on what they've done and my reaction to it, it's just like I don't understand why people do things that make other people angry.
So you want to try to understand the
Yeah.
action
I'm
that
like, I
caused the
don't
anger.
understand. Like,
Like
where did
for
this
me,
come from?
I don't understand. Yeah, I'd like to know, but that doesn't mean I don't want to kill you. Like, serious. I promise I won't kill you.
Andrea's going to murder you with your words.
And it would be ugly. And it's just like, okay. And I'm just like, and there's the amount of like thoughts and processes because yeah, I have that question of I don't understand why, like you, I want to know why. Why wouldn't they want to do this? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? And then I'm like, what can I do to that? Like it all jumbles up. And I'm like,
Right.
how do I want to treat them now? Like it's all like now it's reflected back. Can I reflect some of this back to them? Because I don't want it. I don't want the anger. I don't want this. So how
The
can I
feelings
get back to
inside.
it?
Yeah. I think,
Whatever.
right. And so, like, for me, like, you're like, what can I do back to them? Or how can I, like, do that? And I'm thinking, like, who hurt them? How can I help them heal? Like, there needs to be peace in their life so that they don't want to hurt people.
See, I have that, but that's like after all the reflection, and that's after all the hmm. And that's like seriously, the amount of thoughts that go through my head like that are insane, and they're all contradictory. So, welcome to Andrea's world, where she has got like so many things that going on in her brain. So when she's like,
I need to make a song for yours, like Elmo's world, like Andrea's world.
you know, like people are like, "Are you okay?" When I approach them, and they're like, and I'm like,
No.
and I'm literally like in my own world because there's so much inner dialogue got going on, and I'm processing everything, and it's all simultaneously. And there's things I can see from other people and actions being held at the same time as I'm like intaking it all. And it can be so overwhelming that I'm like, okay, we're just gonna like,
It almost can like paralyze you.
yeah. So I kind of like handle that on a daily when I'm around people that make me mad. And hopefully I'm not around too many of them at one time because that's overwhelming. I'm sorry. When the
Yeah.
expectations are really high and when the expectations are very high and I'm like, I got nothing. Like I've got no more energy to put into anything. Then it's like, okay, I just need out right now. Just because all that anger is coming up. And
Right.
it's gonna come out in one way, shape, or form. Because it has to come out. The energy has to move.
Right. And I think one of the greatest tools and that we have in our tool bag of like coping skills and whatnot is to have that person that listens, that you can just express your frustrations and express if you're angry or pissed off or worried or whatever it is. Because then it's out of you, and that other person has to have learned not to absorb,
Mhm.
but to repel. They need to become a duck so that it just rolls off their back. Okay. I have this obsession with ducks. We'll talk about it later. But but you have to become a duck and just like allow the things that come at you when you're listening and actively listening, not just like, but it's like, right, I understand, or I don't understand, but I feel for you, you know. But it's acknowledging their pain, their anger, all of their feelings that are valid that they're feeling. Because sometimes people just need validation and acknowledgement, and that's it.
Right.
Then the anger is gone, and they're able to move on with whatever it is that they need to do. And you were just there for them at a time when they needed you. And
Right.
sometimes that's all you have to do.
Right. I know for me, I carry around a garbage bin. And when people need to dump their frustration, anger, whatever's going on and get out of them, I put it in the garbage for them. I'm like, here's the garbage. There you go. Thank you. And then they
I
go,
was picturing you with an actual garbage can for a second. I carry on the garbage can.
no, but yeah. And so it's
Yeah,
like,
I understand.
it's, and they know it. They know I have a garbage can that they are more than willing to use, like welcome to use. They can use it anytime. It is always available.
Yeah.
And they'll like message me, they'll polo me, they'll zoom me, they'll do whatever. And they'll be like, I need to use your garbage can. I'm like, okay. And like I'll read through it, I'll respond because I'm an active listener.
Mm-hmm.
I'll respond so they know I understand and I feel for them and I acknowledge what they're feeling. And I've been told, thank you so much for just letting me get it off of me. Like, thank you for allowing that. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being who that is, that person for them.
And
So,
sometimes it can be really hard to find that person. Um, and there will be quite a few frogs before you find your prince when it comes to that. Um, we ain't kissed them, but we're talking to them,
I'm talking to a boy.
talking to them for little froggies. Because sometimes you'll share something with someone expecting them to respect your privacy, and they don't. And they share it with someone else, and then someone else shares it, and it just becomes this big thing.
Right.
So I caution you, mostly from my own personal experience, that to be really careful about what you share with whom, um, and truly know the person that you're sharing it with, and truly trust them. But they've had to have done something to earn your trust, like to have proven that to you already before you share something that's so deep and intense for you. Because if you don't, then you open yourself up for pain and betrayal and all of those other emotions that come with someone sharing something that you trusted them with.
Right. So remember, you guys, anger's an emotion. You are valid for feeling it and experience it. Make sure it leaves your body, though.
Yeah.
Get the energy out. That's a negative energy. You don't want to hang on to it.
No, and when you find that outlet that works for you, whether it be physical activity, whether it's writing in your journal, um, whether it's singing, music in your car, like whatever it is, to like be able to release that emotion, to get it out of you. If it's to talk it out, like, because for me, I'm definitely a sing it or a talk it out person. I'm like, I can sing the screamy heavy metal music in my car, which I have like two songs on my playlist that are like that. But and interestingly enough, they're Disney songs that have been turned into heavy metal songs. So we won't go there. But you got to find what works for you. And for me, I am definitely a talker. Not that any of you have noticed.
It was a total surprise.
Total shocker. But I have found my human, and I trust her more than I trust anybody in the world. So find your human, trust them, feel the feels, All your feels are valid. And
Yep,
you matter. And your story is not over yet.
it is not. All right, you guys.
Till next time.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.